There are some players that are in unbelievable form during this pre-season, and I've picked out the best 11 in-form players, as these all need to be considerations for your Game Week 1 draft. So make sure you do drop a like on this video, make sure you smash that subscribe button, aiming for 6k before Game Week 1. So without further ado, let's check out these in-form players. First up, we have Man United's Onana. Now, slight caveat here, he has only played 90 minutes in pre-season. You can see the underlying stats on your screens right now. I've taken from the most recent friendly 90 minutes played, but the reason why he is already in the pre-season 11 of informed players is the numbers that he's putting up already suggest to me that this is a bonus point monster. Now, why do I think that? First and foremost, 3 saves. We can judge that how it is, but realistically, he is going to be accumulating saves in this Man United team from time to time. They aren't a team that necessarily just shut out teams completely. He will rack up a couple of saves, as what we saw from De Gea last season. But the thing that I'm really drawn towards is the passes. He attempted 41 passes and completed 39 of them. Now, having these sort of underlying numbers is fantastic for a goalkeeper because it puts him in the bonus points. His bonus baseline, I think, is going to be really high. So if Man United were to keep a clean sheet and he starts to post these sorts of numbers, he is going to be right in amongst all of the other defenders and outfield players. So if they were to keep a clean sheet, this could be one of those goalkeepers that is going to consistently get those 8 or 9 pointers, which we're all looking for, especially if we are to spend 5 million on a goalkeeper. So it's early days, but Onana, I think, is going to be an absolute FPL success, and I can't knock anybody going for him in their Game Week 1 teams. Next up, we have the back three that has impressed me so far this season. Now, I apologise if you're not a Chelsea fan, but there's a little bit of Chelsea in this team, as I have been impressed with what I have seen. So, first up, Ben Chilwell at 5.5 million. He picked up a goal in pre-season against mighty Wrexham. Read into that what you will. But the thing that has really impressed me about Chilwell and the general Chelsea team is, first and foremost, the pace that they're playing at, the tempo, the one-touch football is fantastic. Pochettino is really trying to implement this sort of style where they're trying to play a lot of bounce passes, try and have a lot of third men running. And what we are seeing with the fullbacks, in particular Chilwell, is being that third man runner beyond the attack. What we kind of were used to seeing when he was a wing back under the likes of Tuchel. But we're seeing a really, really aggressive version of Chilwell in this system where we may have thought he was going to play a bit more kind of reverted in himself in a back four. That isn't the case at all. And with Chilwell at 5.5 million, they have a tricky start at home against Liverpool and, of course, away against West Ham in Game Week 2. But if you don't want to go early on him, I think this is going to be a bandwagon that gets going from Game Week 3 onwards, as long as he doesn't get injured. Cucurella has been really poor in pre-season. Lewis Hall isn't ready, and Maatsen has been playing as a front three. So it looks like it is Chilwell's shirt to lose. And looking at the games, looking at the pre-season, I really think he is going to be in and amongst the goals again this season. A real creative force in this Pochettino team. So what I've seen so far in pre-season, I cannot argue against anybody going with Chilwell. And he would be my preference of the 5.5 million defenders in this Chelsea team. Reece James still getting back up to full fitness. So that's one to avoid for now. Moving into the other Chelsea defender while he's here is Levi Colwill. Now again, played very few minutes in the Chelsea team so far. He played against Brighton, gave away the penalty, but I was impressed with what I saw. Again, passing out for the back is a joke. He has the ability to play those short passes, the chips over the press. He has everything in his locker. And with the injury of Badiashile looking like he could be out until Game Week 3, and Pochettino already integrating Levi Colwill into the team, I am almost certain that we will see a back four of Chilwell, Colwill, Thiago Silva and Reece James come Game Week 1. And that for me at 4.5 million, and that kind of guarantee of minutes suggests to me that Colwill is the best 4.5 million option if you want to go for security. Do I expect attacker returns? Really, no. Do I see clean sheets in Game Week 1 or 2? Potentially not. But if you want to get ahead of the curve, I think Levi Colwill's minutes based on pre-season so far are looking good, especially to the injuries that we've seen in that Chelsea squad. Now, last up, the one that is the complete opposite of Levi Colwill is Destiny Udogie. Now, I absolutely understand if you have never heard of this bloke before, but this is potentially Spurs' new left back. Now, I say new, he was out on loan last season at Udinese, who done okay out there, but he has come in. We have seen Ben Davies operate as a left-sided centre-back, with Spurs being decimated for centre-backs that I think Ange can actually trust. And Destiny Udogie has started in 2 of the pre-season games, the third one being cancelled due to the crazy weather that we saw out there. Now, I've got some of the data here on your screen, just basically the touch heat map importantly, because we are seeing in Ange's team that he's playing a 4-3-3. But the fullbacks are being encouraged to really bomb on and be aggressive, similar to what we saw of Ben Chilwell. Udogie already picked up a goal against West Ham in one of their pre-season fixtures. I'm seeing really good things from him here. Now, there is a little bit of competition maybe from the likes of Reguilon, but we don't know what his status is from a transfer market perspective. And I think going into game week 1, on what we have seen so far, the 11 that Ange's played in the first half in particular, I think Destiny Udogie is in for this Spurs team come game week 1. And looking at these touch heat maps, I think he's a brilliant pickup if you want to go there. Am I expecting Spurs clean sheets? Probably not, but am I seeing an exciting Spurs team that could rack up the goals and maybe a goal-scoring fullback? Absolutely. So Destiny Udogie on that watch list. Okay, now we're getting into the tasty FPL assets here, moving into the midfielders. First up, I had to include Aston Villa's Diaby. Now, he has only played 45 minutes for Aston Villa, but what an exciting debut it was against Fulham, picking up a goal and seeing what he can truly do in this Aston Villa team. Playing off the right side, which we expect him to be a starter in this Aston Villa team. Whether that'll be in game week 1 is something that we don't really know right now, but I think that spot is there for him to basically come into once he is fully fit. So that is really exciting to see from a FPL perspective, because at 6.5 million, it's another player that we need to consider for our teams. And what I really liked about the goal as well was that he was the one really stretching the team, being the one looking to go over the top, which again, for an FPL option, this is exactly what we are looking for as an option. Now, I haven't seen enough from him to suggest that he is going to be an essential 6.5 and whether he is above Mitoma and Mbeumo, to name a few. But he's absolutely a player that I expect to play consistently for the Aston Villa team. And in an Unai Emery team who are looking just generally a really good progressive team, I think we are going to definitely move towards Diaby eventually. Wherever it's game week 1 that we want to do so, I feel like I need to get a bit more information before I were to make that move and investment into him. Now, a player that is absolutely on the radar, but his price point is a little bit tricky, is Jarrod Bowen. Now, he has been one of the informed players in pre-season so far from a goal scoring perspective, with 3 goals and 1 assist. And you can see the average position for Bowen in this Spurs fixture on your screens here. And him, number 20 on your screen, is by far the furthest player up that pitch. Kind of reminiscent to what we saw a few seasons back when West Ham were at their pomp, where he was really the one stretching the team. And with Antonio's legs, I wouldn't say necessarily gone, but being more of a transitional hold-up man in this West Ham team, Bowen is the one who's expected to really stretch the game. And at 7 million, I really think he is going to be the talisman in this West Ham team once again. Now, I imagine Bowen will be on penalties, but if you're in the comments, let me know if I am wrong on that one. But I expect he will be on penalties, which is another dynamic that we need to consider. And at 7 million, I really think he is flying under the radar right now. He's been in great form in pre-season. I think he is going to be expected to be the goal scorer in this West Ham team. He's got FPL pedigree. And as I said, with this touch sheet map on your screens, he is looking like he's picking up some fantastic positions. And if he is going to average this sort of position, an option we have to consider for our FPL teams. Now, Phil Foden has been the talk of the town since the game launched with his price at 7.5 million. And we all know that he can absolutely blow his price out of the water. There's no doubt about it. It's just the game time associated with Phil Foden that we need to kind of decide whether it is worth taking the risk. Now, for me, if I want to get some benefit from this Man City team and the fixtures that they have coming up, then I feel like we almost have to invest in another Man City midfielder. And for me, Phil Foden is that man. He's picked up 2 assists in the 2 games that they have played so far. The first in that Yokohama match and the second in that Bayern Munich match. And you can see on your screens here, the average touch heat map for Phil Foden in that game against Bayern Munich, where he was a second half sub. Now, he was picking up the positions of Jack Grealish once Jack Grealish left the pitch. So not necessarily playing as an 8, kind of playing in that transitional section where he's kind of finding the half spaces, not a winger, not a centre mid, exactly where we would expect Foden to operate in this Man City team. But if he is finding these sorts of positions, for me, it is a really positive thing. I think the thing that we need to understand is, can Grealish and Foden play in the same team together? Or is Pep viewing it as one can play, one has to go on the bench? For me, I think we are going to see Foden operate as either a second forward or in that advanced 8 in the box that they deploy where Gundogan was playing last season. And if he is to continue picking up these touch heat maps but getting guaranteed game time, with those fixtures coming up for Man City, I think he is the man to target at 7.5 million. I would have him far and above away ahead of the likes of Maddison and even Gerard Bowen, just because it is Man City and they accumulate 2 XG per game, which is just, you need a piece of that pie. Now, a player that I'm going to say is the surprise package of pre-season so far is going to be Arsenal's Trossard. We almost forget with the signings of Rice, Havertz, Timber, that Trossard was signed in January and was, albeit an amazing player for them every time he stepped up onto the field, picked up goals, assists, such a versatile player, playing on the left of a front three. He can play as the 8, he can play as a false 9. And we've seen him already score 3 goals so far this pre-season. Now, on your screens here, I've put the touch heat map for their game against Barcelona, where it was a really eventful game. And Trossard operating in the place of Martinelli, and he picked up, obviously, the brace in that game and was one of the man of matches in that fixture. And realistically, I think Arteta's got a bit of a headache here because I think Martinelli offers something that no other Arsenal player does, which is just raw pace and direct running. So I don't see Trossard displacing Martinelli, but do I see Trossard taking minutes away from Martinelli? Absolutely. I think the big question mark is, has Arteta bought Havertz for a number 8 role and then discovered, oh wait, Trossard is as good as him in a number 8 position? So at 7 million, it's very difficult to justify Trossard because Saka is going to be in a lot of people's teams, and I think naturally a lot of people are going for Gabriel Jesus because of the structure of their squads. And if you do go Trossard at 7 million and you get it wrong, you can't really go up to any other assets. So you have to come down to those 6.5. So I think it's a brave pick for you to go Trossard. I think he is one of those players that is going to be rotated in and out of this Arsenal team. But when he does play for them, I think he is going to be delivering. And he'll be one of those players that if you were to look at the end of the season on stats per 90 minutes, he will be right up there for this Arsenal team. Can we invest in him? Probably not. But one to monitor, because if he is such a versatile player and Havertz doesn't integrate well into the team, we may see Trossard play as the number 8 in this system for a little bit until the other players slowly introduce. And that's all the time you need until that early wildcard at the start of the season. Okay, last up we have the forwards, and one that is dirt cheap is Brighton's João Pedro at 5.5 million. And what a firecracker he is. He has already picked up a goal and an assist against Chelsea, and he has been starting games for Brighton, especially in their most recent fixture. Now, what I love about João Pedro is, again, similar to Trossard, what a versatile player he is. He can play on the left, down the middle, in the 10. He is going to be a dream for De Zerbi this year. Now, the big question mark is João Pedro going to start for Brighton? And I think what I've seen in pre-season so far is it's going to be very difficult to leave him out of this team. He has hit the ground running. He's been fantastic in the Brighton team, almost just like he's been playing for years in this system. Now, is he an investment for game week 1? My worry with him is because of Welbeck, because of Ferguson, because of Enciso, you name them, there is going to be rotation in this Brighton team. And could I put the trust in allocating a forward spot for João Pedro? Probably not. However, again, this is the pre-season 11. And I do think if we get some positive quotes from De Zerbi in the lead up to the game week 1 deadline and you want to go for a real ultimate differential, I don't think they come much better than João Pedro from what I've seen in pre-season so far. A natural finisher and a player that is so versatile, he could take minutes away from any of those Brighton assets. So I'm a big fan of João Pedro. I need to see a little bit more from pre-season, but what I have seen so far is incredibly positive. Now, let's just move into the guy who is just been unbelievable in pre-season, and that is Chelsea's Nicholas Jackson. Have Chelsea finally cracked the striker curse? I'm not going to go too early on it, but what we have seen from Nicholas Jackson is what a player. He has got the pace, the power, the hold play that Chelsea have been looking for so long. Now, he's scored 2 goals and 3 assists in the campaign so far. And for anyone that has watched him in the time that he's been on the field, he has been fantastic. Now, it's really important to know, Nkunku is not a forward. He really cannot play as a number 9 in this Chelsea team for a long term. He needs a target man or a player that can link up with him to get the true benefits of Nkunku. And I really hope Pochettino understands that strength of Nkunku. But what I think he's got with Jackson here in the time that we have seen in a pre-season is the link-up play that he provides. This isn't a player that's going to dilly-dally on the ball, take 5-6 touches more than he should, like the likes of Havertz sometimes. This is a player that knows when to give it and go. And because of the pace that he has and the direct running that he does offer, we saw that in his goal against Newcastle. This is such a versatile player that is going to bring players into the game, but also take chances for himself. Now, I'm not sitting here and telling you he's a goal scorer and he's getting 20 goals. I can't make a judgment on his finishing so far. But what I like from him is he's kind of like a Gabriel Jesus, where I could see him picking up assists and I could see him picking up goals. And at 7 million, if he is going to be locked in as the #1 forward in this Chelsea team, come game week 3 at home against Luton, this might be the time to pull the trigger and either move your formation to a front 3 or downgrade whatever forward you have to invest in him. He is one to keep on the radar, absolutely. And in the upcoming Chelsea pre-season games, if he does continue to have a connection between the likes of Mudryk and Nkunku, I think it's impossible for Pochettino not to start the season with Nkunku in the 10 and Jackson as a 9. And if that does happen, I think that is an avenue to points for Jackson. So he is on my radar 100%, and I really hope he does continue the form that he's in, as I am a Chelsea fan myself. Now, last up, the man that we know can score 20 goals. The only man in this league from a forward perspective who can keep pace with Erling Haaland is Darwin Núñez. This guy, I just love him. Here are his stats for his most recent game. 45 minutes, he accumulated 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 shots on target. But this is a guy who we know gets ridiculous amount of chances. He just needs the confidence and the finishing ability to actually convert those chances. Now, with the fixtures that Liverpool have, we all know that game week 2 is the time to target them at home against Bournemouth. It's impossible to bring in Mo Salah as a transfer in game week 2. So if you don't have Salah in game week 1, you're not having him in game week 2. So you either go for a differential in the likes of Jota or Gakpo, or you go in on someone like a Darwin Núñez, maybe from game week 1 onwards. And I think Darwin Núñez, the closer we get to game week 1 deadline, we're going to realise that Klopp is building a team to benefit Darwin Núñez. With Trent being in the 6 potentially, there's not many players in the league who have the ability like Trent to create chances from deep, from anywhere on the pitch, from wide. It's a very rare trait, and this is why Trent is such an unbelievable player. And with the raw pace that Darwin Núñez has, I think Klopp is starting to understand that with someone like Trent, he needs a player that can offer both the short and the long ball, something that Gakpo doesn't necessarily possess. And I think with Darwin Núñez's direct running, his unbelievable athleticism, it's a waste to play Trent in this midfield role without the explosive running that Darwin Núñez does offer. And I only expect Darwin Núñez's minutes to be really, really decent. And it only needs 70 minutes per game to see potential returns from him because his numbers are out of this world. I'm not going to read too much of what we've seen in pre-season because it's been against pretty poor teams. But with this Liverpool team, if they are going to play rock and roll of football, I want that main man in Darwin Núñez. So incredibly hard to avoid him. And I think the closer we get to the deadline, he's someone that is going to be on my radar for sure. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Yes, guys, okay. So that's going to wrap up the 11 informed players so far this pre-season. I really hope it's provided some value and just giving you a bit of an idea on those players that we absolutely need to put on our watch list. Let me know in the comments which other players have been in unbelievable form so far this pre-season. I might do a part 2 to this video if there are enough that I have missed. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you do drop a like on this video. Make sure you do smash the subscribe button, you legends. And check out my most recent video. It's a cracker. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Cheers.